The mental strategy. The world doesn't want you to know. Napoleon Hill. Before we begin, I ask you something simple. Like this video and subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to hear here has the power to completely change the way you see life. And if you apply it, you'll realize that silence can make you stronger than any scream, and that true mastery isn't over others. It's over yourself. You know what's funny? The world teaches you to run, compete, prove your worth. But the great masters, from Napoleon Hill to the Bible itself, reveal that the secret lies in the opposite: slowing down, being silent, and learning to control what no one sees. It seems counterintuitive, but the more you try to control what's outside, the more you lose power over what's inside. And that's precisely what keeps you stuck repeating the same results. Today, I want to show you the mental strategy the world doesn't want you to discover, because when you understand this principle, no one will be able to manipulate you with fear, opinion, or criticism. You will walk with purpose, talk less, and achieve more. What we're going to discuss here isn't theory, it's high-level spiritual and mental practice. So settle in, silence what distracts you, and pay attention, because your transformation begins now. Mind mastery. The only thing 100% under your control. Have you ever noticed that the real battle of life takes place within the mind? Napoleon Hill said that the only absolute control we have is control over our thoughts. The Bible confirms this in Proverbs. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. In other words, what you think determines what you become. But most people spend their lives trying to control what's outside, when the power lies in controlling what happens within. Mastering the mind doesn't mean eliminating bad thoughts, but learning to choose which ones deserve to remain. It's like being the gardener of your own heart. You pull the weeds and water the right seeds every day. And you know what's interesting? When you shift your focus inward, the external world begins to respond. Opportunities appear, doors open, the right people arrive. Because everything created in the invisible realm of the mind sooner or later manifests in the visible realm of life. So begin to watch your thoughts as one watches over a treasure. When fear comes, tell yourself, "This is just a visitor." When doubt comes, replace it with faith, as the Word teaches. Take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. This is where true freedom is born, when you understand that you are not hostage to what you feel, but master of what you choose to think. And it is precisely this awareness that will prepare you for the next principle. Strategic silence. The art of winning without having to react. Strategic silence. The art of winning without reacting. Napoleon Hill said that the truly wise man speaks little and observes much, because he understands that each word is a seed. The Bible reinforces this in Proverbs. Even a fool, when he keeps silent, is considered wise. Silence, when used well, is a spiritual strategy. It protects focus, preserves energy, and prevents you from reacting to things that don't deserve a response. Impulsive people speak in the heat of the moment and end up giving away plans, wasting energy, or opening doors to doubt. But those who learn to remain silent with purpose govern with power. Strategic silence isn't the absence of a voice, it's the presence of consciousness. It's looking at chaos and choosing not to be contaminated by it. It's understanding that not every attack deserves defense, and that often, what needs to speak for you are the fruits, not the words. Hill observed that the greatest leaders in history had this characteristic in common. They spoke less than they knew, and acted more than they revealed. This wisdom is an invisible shield that protects purpose from being stolen by the rush to explain. Want a practical example? When someone criticizes you, your instinct is to respond, justify yourself, prove something. But silence, in this case, is the most powerful form of communication. It shows dominance, not weakness. It's as if to say, "My peace is worth more than your provocation." Jesus lived this way. In the face of his accusers, he remained silent, and this silence was proof of his authority. Silence is the language of those who trust, and it is this trust that prepares you for the next step. Learn to cultivate the garden of the mind, where each thought needs to be chosen with the same wisdom as someone who plants the future. Mental garden, curating thoughts and beliefs. The mind is like a garden. Napoleon Hill said that if you don't plant the right seeds, weeds, negative thoughts, will take over, and the Bible confirms this principle in Philippians 4:8. Whatever is true, and whatever is pure, and whatever is right, and whatever is lovely, think about these things. In other words, you have the power to choose what grows within you. The problem is that many people live harboring thoughts of fear, comparison, and scarcity, and then are surprised to reap anxiety, failure, and discouragement. Caring for your mind is a daily act, almost a manual process. It's waking up and deciding what to water: faith or doubt, love or criticism, courage or complaint. Hill stated that every dominant thought, when mixed with emotion, becomes reality. This means that simply thinking isn't enough. You need to feel what you think. So start your day by declaring empowering words. Read a verse, repeat an affirmation, visualize the outcome you desire. It's simple, yet powerful. What you repeat with faith, your subconscious obeys. The truth is that your outer life is merely a reflection of your inner garden. Everything you see out there grew from a seed that was cultivated within. So, be mindful of what's being planted. Ask yourself, what have I been nurturing in my mind lately? Faith that builds or fear that destroys? Focus on purpose or the distraction of comparisons? This is the difference between those who flourish and those who sink. And understanding this prepares you for the next step. Learn to master emotions so that they obey your vision and do not sabotage it. Emotional self-control in practice. Stop method. Napoleon Hill stated that those who cannot control their emotions will never control results. The Bible confirms this in Proverbs 16:32. Better is a patient man than a warrior. Better to control one's spirit than to capture a city. Self-control isn't coldness. It's spiritual intelligence. It's choosing how to react when everything tries to pull you off center. Most people miss opportunities not because of a lack of talent, but because of a lack of emotional control. And what destroys us isn't what happens, but how we react to what happens. When emotions come on strongly, anger, fear, anxiety, use the stop method. Stop, seems. Take a breath, respire. The observe. Observe what you feel. And proceed. Proceed with choice. It seems simple, but it's a practice that changes destinies. A minute's pause can prevent a word that destroys a relationship, a business, or a reputation. When you train your brain to respond with wisdom, not impulse, you begin to realize that peace is a choice, not a prize. You learn to be the conductor of your own inner self. Jesus is the greatest example of emotional mastery. Faced with the cross, abandonment, and pain, he remained silent and focused on his mission. This wasn't weakness, it was power. Self-mastery is the mature fruit of the Spirit, and it manifests when you decide not to be ruled by your feelings. Remember, emotion is a gift, not a direction. It informs you, but it doesn't need to command you. And when you learn to listen without getting lost, you're ready for the next step, dealing with external criticism and judgment, without letting it shake what you build. Criticism, projections, and posture. Constancy, explanation. Napoleon Hill said that criticism is the price a man pays for standing out, and the Bible adds, "Woe to you when all speak well of you." Luke 6:26. In other words, if no one criticizes you, perhaps you're not growing enough. Criticism is a test of consistency, not to stop you but to reveal how firm your purpose is. People who lack clarity of direction are shaken by the opinions of others, while those who walk with purpose don't waste time explaining themselves. Attitude speaks louder than words. Every time you try to justify your process to those who aren't ready to understand, you waste energy that should be invested in your mission. Hill observed that high achievers rarely defend themselves. They let their results speak for themselves. It's the same with you. Consistency is your best response. When the world tests you with doubts, stand firm. Daily consistency will silence what argument cannot. It's better to be consistent in silence than noisy in inconstancy. Remember Jesus before the Pharisees, questioned, criticized, ridiculed, and yet serene. He knew who he was and where he was going. This is the attitude of someone with purpose. You don't need to prove your worth. You just need to keep going. Opinions change. Time reveals. Each time you are criticized and choose to remain on track, your faith matures. And this maturity is what prepares you for the next stage of the journey. Understand the role of pain as a force that refines and reveals who you really are. The pain that refines, equivalent benefit and reframing. Napoleon Hill said that, in every setback, in every defeat, there is the seed of an equivalent benefit. The Bible confirms this in Romans 5:3-4. Tribulation produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. In other words, pain never comes to destroy, but to reveal what still needs to be strengthened. What many call punishment, God calls polishing. No diamond shines until it has withstood pressure. And the same is true for you. Your pain is not a sentence, it is a forging. The difference between those who grow and those who break lies in the meaning they give to pain. Ordinary people ask, "Why me?" while wise people ask, "What for?" This simple reframing transforms suffering into learning. When you face a challenge with awareness, pain loses its power to paralyze you and begins to shape you. Hill called this the blessing in disguise, because what strains you today prepares you tomorrow. And the curious thing is that when the heart understands the purpose of pain, it ceases to be an enemy and becomes a teacher. So the next time you feel like you're on fire, remember, true gold is only tested in the flame. Don't run from the process. Go through it with faith. Pray, breathe, and ask, what is this pain trying to teach me? This is the key to transformation. It's what separates the wounded from the strengthened. And when you learn to navigate the dark nights without losing your inner light, you're ready for the next step. Understand the power of silent persistence, that invisible force that makes the impossible happen when everyone else has already given up. Quiet persistence, the invisible period. Before the tipping point. Napoleon Hill said, "Most people give up just a few steps from victory." And it's true. The greatest miracles happen in silence, when it seems like nothing is happening. The Bible describes this beautifully in Galatians 6:9. "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." The problem is that many mistake God's silence for absence, when in fact it is preparation. The invisible is working on your behalf as you persist with faith in the visible. Quiet persistence is the training of the soul. It's continuing to plant even when the soil seems dry, because you trust the seed. Hill called these spiritual endurance tests, moments when life asks if you really want what you say you want. It's easy to have faith when there are signs. It's hard to keep up the pace when the sky seems closed. But it's in this interval, between sowing and harvesting, that character solidifies. Those who resist discouragement become unbeatable. Be honest. How many times have you thought about giving up because you weren't seeing results? What if your turning point was just a step away from your surrender? This is how fate tests the determined. So don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're complete. Keep going even without applause, even without immediate reward. Because the invisible rewards the constant. And when the right time comes, and it always does, what was once a seed becomes a harvest. And it is at that moment that the defined purpose begins to shine with full force, the theme of our next step. Purpose defined as an antidote to distraction. Napoleon Hill stated that a definite purpose is the starting point of all achievement. And the Bible confirms, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James 1:8. In other words, those who don't know where they're going get lost with every distraction. Purpose is the soul's spiritual GPS. It keeps you steadfast when the world tries to distract you. Without it, every noise seems like a call. With it, even silence has direction. Having a defined purpose isn't just about knowing what you want, but also understanding why you want it. This is what separates ego from calling. Hill observed that successful people don't act on impulse, but on intention. They wake up knowing what they're building, and don't waste energy on what doesn't add up. And when distractions arrive, criticism, comparisons, doubts, they simply don't fit in anymore. Because those with a strong why can handle any how. So I challenge you, write your purpose clearly. Not something generic like, I want to be happy, but something that moves you, that brings you meaning. Ask yourself, what would I do even if no one applauded? This answer is the compass that will guide you. When you live guided by it, fatigue changes weight and obstacles become part of the path. And that's exactly where true transformation happens, when mind, spirit, and purpose walk in unity. And it's about applying all this knowledge that I'm going to guide you now. The mental strategy. The world doesn't want you to know. Napoleon Hill. Now tell me, how many times have you lost your peace over something small? How many opportunities have you missed because you reacted impulsively? How many times have you silenced the voice of faith to listen to the noise of fear? Perhaps it's time to stop fighting what's outside and start conquering what's inside. It's there, in the invisible, that true victory begins. Napoleon Hill said that, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." And the Bible confirms, "The mind of the wise acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks understanding." Proverbs 18:15. So if you want to live differently, start thinking differently. Don't wait for motivation. Create discipline. Don't wait for approval. Maintain constancy. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is mastery over it. Now it's your turn. Write in the comments, I choose to master my mind and live on purpose. This phrase is a spiritual declaration, a commitment to your new self. And if this video touched you, like now, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because every week I bring you practical lessons to help you grow internally, so that success out there is inevitable. Remember, the world may try to shake you, but those who control their own minds control their destiny.